Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Midwest Medium Podcast. I am your host, June Hessler. Thank you for joining me and welcome back. You are either listening to this on Spotify, Apple, any major podcasting platform, and I thank you so much for listening. Some of you are watching on YouTube, and if you are watching on YouTube, there's something I want to show you. I have a few things to talk about today. I want to get into some ghost stuff. Halloween's right around the corner. I want to talk about ghosts and my experiences with them that I have not yet shared on the podcast. But first, I want to share with you that my spiritual teacher, Oracle Marine, she has a jewelry line that is now available. And she did not ask me to talk about it. I'm talking about it because it's beautiful jewelry. Um, and because everything that you purchase has been blessed by the Ascended Masters. And it's super, super cool. So I want to show you. Here's one beautiful bracelet that I purchased for myself recently, blessed by Mother Mary. Here is another that was gifted to me by Oracle Marine, also blessed by Mother Mary. And there's necklaces on the website. There's different stones. And right now there's great assortment of items and there's more coming, I'm told. So check it out, blessedbyheaven.com. I'll make sure to put the link in the show notes so you can check it out. Um, and I would say it would be a great gift idea for someone that you love with Christmas coming up. And everything ships from California. I got my items within, 6 or 7 days. So not too bad. I also purchased a necklace, or I'm sorry, a bracelet for my daughter for her birthday that is coming up. So I don't have that to show you because it's already been wrapped, but we got that too. So check it out. Super cool, beautiful stuff. I want to also share with you quickly that Holly and I have another massage and mediumship event coming up in Coon Rapids, Saturday, November 9th, which, by the way, is Holly's birthday. And we'd love to see you. We have some spots left. By the way, if you're watching on YouTube and it just got really dark, it's because I'm sitting in front of a window and it's the sun and the clouds. And so I'm not super in charge of the lighting right now. Anyway, November 9th, massage and mediumship in Coon Rapids. It's $60. You get to participate in a group reading and you also get an individualized chair massage. Don't worry, when you're getting your massage, you're not missing out on anything. You're still part of the group. And 50% of my profits will go to a charity, and which is, I don't want to butcher their name, but it is Wisconsin Big Cat Rescue. They're located in, I always want to say it's Rock Falls, Wisconsin, but that's not right. I think it's Rock Springs, Wisconsin, right outside of Wisconsin Dells. I went there a few years ago. They do really great work. They rescue big cats from bad situations and they give them a place to live out the rest of their days. So, yes, when I say big cats, you can think lions, tigers, and other big cats. So, that is where 50% of my profits from our November 9th massage and mediumship event will go to. If you'd like to sign up, I know we have like, I think 3 or 4 spots left. You can email Holly. I will put her email address in the show notes. She handles all the sign up. So I never know who's going to be there. And I'm so glad that she's willing to always do that for these events because I know it's a lot of work and I appreciate that she does it. And I appreciate not knowing who will be there. So, anywho, I promised that we would talk about ghosts today. Now, I'm recording this on October 13th. So, Halloween is very nearby, one of my favorite holidays, always has been, even as a little kid. Ghosts. What to say about ghosts? If you are a regular listener of the podcast, you know that I've had experiences with ghosts basically my entire life, not quite knowing what it was, not quite understanding that it wasn't normal. I thought it was normal that everyone had these experiences, but I'm finding out even still, not everyone does. So, more recently, however, I've had some more experiences, uh, kind of on the darker side of the ghost. I guess I'll call it a ghost phenomena. I know that ghost hunting is really popular right now amongst Travel Channel, Discovery Plus, and it's just kind of like really taken off in kind of a really weird way. I really don't know how else to say it. I think it's great that we have these TV shows that are researching and trying to discover paranormal communication or communication with the other side, trying to do the scientific methods with different devices. I think that's really great because it's bringing awareness that spirit communication is possible. It's helping to normalize spirit communication. And I will always think that that is a good thing. Um, I know that some people either love or hate certain televised paranormal investigators. I'm not going to name names. Um, I can certainly understand why some people either love or hate the people on TV that do this work, but but I have to say in their defense, anyone on television doing this work is bringing awareness to it, and it's a topic that I love. I loved it for many, many years, decades, really. And so regardless of where you're at on the paranormal television shows and how you feel about them, I think overall they're good because they're helping bring awareness and normalizing spirit communication. Do they make mistakes? Are they wrong about things? Of course. I'm not going to say they're wrong about everything, and I'm not going to say that everything they do is a mistake. There's a lot to be learned. Let's say that. There's a lot to be learned in the paranormal community. Now, really, what is a ghost? By my definition, a ghost is a person that has passed away and has not fully crossed over to the other side. They refuse to go on to whatever is next for them, whatever God has decided for them, whether it's heaven, whether it's purgatory, or whether it's hell. They refuse to go for whatever reason. Fear, maybe they're confused, they don't understand that they've passed, so many different reasons. And so they stay here, they stay earthbound, which violates God's will for them. We are not meant to be, if you're not in this physical dimension like I am now on earth as a human, living human being, you're not meant to be here otherwise. So when a person passes, they don't fully transition and they stay earthbound, they are violating God's will. So that is my long answer to what my definition of a ghost is. Now, from my experience, there's positive ghosts or negative ghosts. There's also negative entities, which is a whole different thing. I'll kind of talk about that. Uh, so first and foremost, we know a ghost is a person that doesn't fully transition over for whatever reason. I've learned through my mediumship work that when this happens and this soul of the ghost is trying to come through for a mediumship reading, it's very thick and dense, and it feels like the energy really feels like we're walking in molasses is how it feels. It's heavy, it's dense, it's very slow. I've learned when I'm communicating with an earthbound spirit, that's how it feels. So that helps me distinguish whether or not I'm communicating psychically with someone that's crossed over to the other side or someone that's still here. When someone is crossed over to the other side, generally speaking, the communication is faster, more clear, um, not so heavy. And so it's really interesting now that I have a few years under my belt with mediumship. It's very interesting to be able to distinguish between the two different variations. Uh, That being said, if you've ever had a reading with me and the communication has been slow and dense and molasses, that doesn't always mean that I'm communicating with an earthbound spirit. And if I've had a reading with you, I've explained other reasons why that can happen. So I don't want anyone who has had a reading with me to just automatically assume that if that's happened in your reading that the person's earthbound. I'll tell you if they're earthbound and I'll tell you if they're not and the other reasons why it's coming in that way. So, little disclaimer there, I guess you could say. More recently, I've had some experiences with ghosts where I've gone into people's homes and I've help validate what they've already been feeling and also do what I can to help clear out ghosts. I decided actually a couple years ago now that if I'm going to be brought into a home or a business where there are earthbound spirits, I will do everything I possibly can to clear them. I cannot guarantee that I'm going to clear them. They still have free will, just like you and I do. But I will do everything I can to clear them from that space. So when I hear about someone who buys a haunted house, as an example, and they decide that they're going to profit from that and open it up as like a haunted B&B or haunted tours, whatever, I have a problem with that. To me, it's an ethical thing. So, as a psychic medium, if I go into those places, I have to tell the owner, I'm going to try to clear them. If you don't want me there, you don't want me to try to clear them, don't invite me. So, that's basically where I draw the line in the sand. I used to have a lot of fun going to these paranormal hot spots, and I still find it very interesting and fascinating, but I just have a hard time with people profiting from it. Um, I guess you could say, well, June, isn't that hypocritical? You're a medium and you charge money for it. Yeah, I am a medium. I do charge money for it. I also give a lot of my profits to charity. And I also am not holding a soul here on in the earthly dimension. I'm doing what I can to help cross them over. My goal is to help souls, to help people, to help bridge the gap between heaven and earth, and to help people communicate with their deceased loved ones, including their pets. So to me, it's different. They're different situations, different ethics, different values. Now, that being said, would I still stay in a haunted hotel knowing that it's haunted? 100%. I would still stay and do that. And guess what? I would do what I can to clear out some of those ghosts and to help them if they want my help. Some of them might not want my help. Some of them might want to stay. And there's nothing I can really do about that other than to try to guide them and help them understand the reality of what's happening. So, you guys, I was at someone's house not all that long ago, and there was a lot of heavy things happening. And when I say heavy things happening, there was, use of Ouija boards, there was use of some kind of witchcraft, dabbling in witchcraft, and the homeowner acknowledged it, kind of fessed up to it, which I appreciate because honesty is very important. Otherwise, I can't help you. Um, and so, things were acknowledged and things were fessed up to, and there was a lot of honesty there. And there was also before the person had purchased their property, their home, there was they were able what was coming through psychically was that this place years and years and years and years ago was used for what to me felt like satanic worship, really bad, dark things. And the person I met with, the homeowner, was able to validate a lot of that as well. So it was very interesting, but unfortunately, a lot of the negativity that was called to that home never left. And so here I come along. And I will tell you that these negative entities were very upset that I was there. They know that I work for God and Jesus. They know I'm well protected. They know um, what I'm essentially there to do is kind of like bust them, basically. Like, okay, the gig is over. You need to leave. It's time to move on. So I did that to the best of my ability. Um, I'm never going to say that ghost clearing is a one and done situation. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. The situation definitely was not. Uh, and there was a point where I was standing inside the home and a couple of the pets, there were some pets in the home and they were kind of like starting to argue, these two animals. And they were starting to just like get a little bit like nothing crazy or like dangerous. It didn't look dangerous to the animals, like they were going to hurt each other, but they were just getting on each other's nerves and it was pretty obvious. And all of a sudden, as the animals moved throughout the house, kind of like fighting back and forth, all of a sudden I saw a dark gray entity kind of jump on top of where these two animals were, as if this dark icky entity was controlling these animals' behaviors. And I've never seen anything like that before. It was very interesting. Um, so I just bring that up as an example of how, yes, the paranormal can be interesting and fun to a degree, especially around Halloween, but there's also a lot of danger in it, especially when people are dabbling in things like witchcraft, Ouija boards, and calling in the icky things, satanic worship. Like, you guys, I can't even. Oh, anyway, it was a lot to take in, and it was a lot that I had to clear from myself after I left because of how heavy everything was. Fortunately, I do my protection on a regular basis, and before I went to this person's home, I did it because I knew what I was walking into was not great stuff. And so I am so grateful that I am so well protected so that I can do these things and help people. But it was definitely something I wasn't expecting at the same time to see that dark entity jump on those two animals that were starting to kind of really go at. While I'm on the topic, one thing that just came to me is this was a while ago. I received a message from somebody who asked that I go to their home because their loved one was seeing blood on the walls and on the floor. I don't remember. I may have already shared this in the podcast. I really don't remember. Um, when I receive a message like that, I will not touch it with a 10-foot pole. You need a priest. So that's what I told this person. I cannot help you. I am not willing at this point in my psychic development. I'm not willing to go into a situation where a person is seeing blood on the walls and floors because I am not going to put myself in a dangerous situation to be psychically attacked. I've had psychic attacks. I've talked about it before on this podcast. I've been very open to it, but there's certain situations I won't put myself in. So that was definitely one of them. Another time I was at a person's home for ghost clearing was gosh, I'm on my way to this person's home and I start getting things psychically already. And in this particular situation, I was seeing three young adults that had passed but were still earthbound, and it was it was two males and a female, and they were not happy that I was coming. They were like wanting me to stay away, and I was starting to get it psychically already, and I was starting to feel the heaviness that came with these three ghosts. And so when I get to the property and I'm with the homeowner, uh I said, we need to go to this other part of the yard. And so we did. And I explained what I was seeing in a particular part of this person's yard. And he was able to validate why I was seeing that in that particular area, and which basically was information that he knew about the property before, um, as he was making the purchase, and had learned things thereafter. So it's interesting how, um, with psychic abilities, I've learned it's interesting how things will come in psychically even before I'm at my destination if I'm going to someone's home. Um, Another interesting thing that was more recent is oh, by the way, you guys, I am helping with missing person investigations and cold case crimes. So, if you've heard of Supernatural Investigators of Minnesota, SIM, that is who I'm helping work through. So anyway, more recently I was with them, and I can't say where we went, but we went to a destination about an hour from my home. And as I'm driving there, I'm getting things psychically, what the crimes were, who the criminal is, who um some of the victims are, and that was really, really interesting too. In this case, these victims had crossed over and they were coming to me from the other side. They were not earthbound, which I'm so happy for. Um, and I have to say, like, I know that we say that ghost hunting is fun, and it is, you guys, I get it. It is, especially when you have those devices and you're getting your hits and you're getting your EVPs. It is fun, and it's fun for the people who, I think are less experienced with it, and so they get kind of like an adrenaline rush. And it's also fun for people who are more experienced with it and they're getting their scientific evidence. But I cannot help, I'm very empathic, and I cannot help but feel a strong sense of sadness and compassion for these souls that are trapped. They choose to be trapped. Yes, I get it. Um, but I feel such a strong sense of empathy and compassion for them. That is why I feel so drawn to wanting to help them cross over to the other side if I can, helping them find the light and get to where they're more meant to be, and help them not violate what God wants. So it's all very interesting. There's a lot to ghosts. I've learned it's more than just like Ghostbusters movie. It's more than um it's more than just a one and done, go into the house, clear the ghost in most situations. Sometimes it is that easy. But oftentimes it's a little bit more difficult than that. And so I just ask that this Halloween and going forward, if this episode and what I'm saying resonates with you, try to have more compassion with the ghosts. If you feel that there's one in your home, and by the way, there probably is because they're kind of everywhere. Um, Try to have compassion for them. Try to have some understanding. Now, if it's a ghost that's hurting you, touching you inappropriately, scaring you, that's different. I'm talking about more the ghosts that I tend to experience more often, where they just sit at the end of my bed and they make their presence known, but they're not scary. I guess I've been very fortunate that way. Um, it's important to have compassion for them. It's important to remember that they were people, they were humans on this planet at one point also. And just because they've passed, just because they're in their ghost, I'm a Taylor Swift fan, I'll call it their ghost era. Um, it doesn't mean that they still don't have feelings, or that they still don't um have needs and desires. There's a reason that they're staying earthbound. So it's important to try to figure out what that is and to help them cross over. Now, if you're someone who's experiencing something darker, more sinister, something that might resemble a horror flick that you would maybe watch on Netflix, that's a different situation, and you don't want to mess with it. You don't want to let it fester or get worse, or you don't want to feed it either. So I cannot stress enough, do not do witchcraft. Do not participate in Ouija board sessions, whether it's a homemade Ouija board or one that you purchase at the store. I really don't care. A Ouija board is a Ouija board. Don't do it, you guys. I'm telling you, it's not worth it. Um, what else do I want to say about ghosts? Another thing I would say about ghosts is hold your ground. If you think you have one, whether they seem harmless or not, they don't belong in your home. They are an uninvited guest and they don't need to be there. So if you've seen or listened to my episode with Echo Bodine, she came on, such a sweet lady. She had said, you know, you're not going to let a stranger in that just shows up with their suitcase and wants to now live in your house. You're not going to accept that. So why would you accept very similar behavior from a ghost? And that really made sense to me. And she's right. So if you have a ghost, let me know. I'm happy to help. I don't charge much for it. If you're in the Twin Cities, if you're further away from the Twin Cities or the North Metro, it can be harder for me to help you. But I'm happy to at least have the conversation. Maybe we can do a little thing over Zoom if you are further away from the Twin Cities, but would still like to try to figure out what's going on. Um, More about my services can be found at junehessler.com. Oh, by the way, I had a really fun experience recently. I went to someone's home. I was invited in for a group reading for this person and family members. And it was really, really fun. So, you know, the holidays are coming up. Sometimes people are looking for different ways to celebrate together, or like if there's a big birthday coming up, retirement party, or just a day with family and friends, whatever it is. A mediumship reading can be a lot of fun. And I consider them to be really beautiful experiences for people because I get to see how the messages from the other side touch people's hearts. And it's so rewarding to me because of that. It's very, very fun for me and very rewarding. So if you're someone who wants to host and invite some friends and family over, um, I am happy to come and do that for you. I've learned in a one-on-one reading, Spirit keeps me open for about 60 minutes. And I've learned in a group reading, they keep me open about 90 minutes. So that's what it was. It was really about a 90-minute session. I go until Spirit starts shutting me down. And yeah, 50% of my group reading profits always goes to charity. So these people that had me in recently, um, they know that not only were they able to benefit from the experience, but 50% was going to charity to help other people too. So I think that's really important. Um, I also do animal communication. If anyone is looking to connect either with a deceased animal that has passed or a living animal, they want to understand their animal a bit better. Maybe there's a health concern, maybe there's behavioral issues, that kind of thing. I know sometimes, okay, now we're going to talk about animal communication. I know sometimes we have to make difficult decisions. I've been very open about having to euthanize our cat a couple of years ago. That was very difficult. I still struggle with that experience. I still have a hard time with it. And I'm just being honest. It's hard. It's excruciating. It was the worst decision I've ever had to make in my life, and I'm almost 44 years old. That being said, I will never tell you if you come to me for animal communication and you're wondering, yes or no, do I euthanize my animal? I will never give you an answer. And that is because everything that comes through is from spirit. That is a free will decision that has to be made by you. That is not something that spirit's going to come through and say, yes, you should euthanize, or no, you should not euthanize. They'll come through with other guidance, other wisdom, validations they'll come through with all of that, but they are not going to answer yes or no, should I or should I not euthanize? So, I would say if you find an animal communicator that will give you an answer, I would very much argue that that person is, um, how do I say it? Not, probably a good chance that they're not working on behalf of heaven. I'll put it that way. Um, so if you come to me and you want to know if you should euthanize your guinea pig, I'm not giving you an answer because I know they're not going to say yes or no to that. And that's just the reality of how animal communication works, at least for me. So, thank you so much for listening. I know this episode was a little bit rambling, but I did want to talk a little bit more about ghosts, especially with Halloween right around the corner. Last year, I did create a Halloween special, um, Tales of the Unknown Halloween special, where I had some guests on. It's a 2-hour podcast uh, episode, and it's fun. Lots of different stories, true stories that my friends were so nice to hop on and tell. So if you haven't listened to that, or maybe if you haven't listened to it in a while and you want to re-listen, you can find that. It's I didn't create a special this year. If you're a regular listener to the podcast, I'm sure you've noticed that my podcast episodes are a bit more sporadic at this point. That really is because I just have other commitments in life and I don't podcast full time. I don't monetize my podcasting. So I do it when I feel inspired and called, and I do it when I have a wonderful guest. I've had so many wonderful guests on this podcast. So if you haven't listened to any of those episodes yet, make sure you check them out. Um, I'm hoping you guys to have Oracle Marine back sooner rather than later. She's very, very busy. Um, so I'm being patient, but she is on my wish list of guests to have return. So just know that you guys have to check out her jewelry, blessedbyheaven.com. And I hope you all have a wonderful and safe Halloween. Be kind to your ghosts, be compassionate towards them. If you want them gone and you're in the Twin Cities area, give me a call, shoot me an email, info@junehessler.com. I will do what I can. And anything else you want to know about me, junehessler.com, you can find information there. And if you have like an episode idea or a topic you want me to discuss on the episode, or if you want to come on as a guest, maybe you have some of your own ghost stories, I'd love to hear them. I'm sure other people would love to hear them too. I'm open. If there's a topic I haven't talked about that has to do with positive side of the paranormal and supernatural, let me know. I'm happy to share what I've learned so far. I know it's my journey in life is kind of weird and different and unconventional. So I understand that there's probably a lot of questions and maybe a lot of well, I know there's a lot of assumptions. So anyway, you guys know where to find me. I'm pretty much an open book, I think, with my mediumship. And send me your questions. I'm happy to talk about them on the podcast. All right, you guys, thank you for so much for joining me. My name is June Hessler. You're listening to the Midwest Medium Podcast. Have a wonderful Halloween.